Morning. Today we're going to be looking at the next portion of Ephesians chapter 5. So starting in verse 22, it says, "Wives, submit to your own husbands as to the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church, his body, and is himself its Savior. Now, as the church submits to Christ, so also wives should submit in everything to their husbands. Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her, that he might sanctify her, having cleansed her by the washing of water with the word, so that he might present the church to himself in splendor, without spot or wrinkle or any such thing, that she might be holy and without blemish. In the same way, husbands should love their wives as their own bodies. He who loves his wife loves himself. For no one ever hated his own flesh, but nourishes and cherishes it, just as Christ does the church, because we are members of his body. Therefore, a man shall leave his father and mother and hold fast to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. This mystery is profound, and I'm saying that it refers to Christ and the church. However, let each one of you love his wife as himself. Let the wife see that she respects her husband." So this portion of the chapter, it's directly tied with the beginning of the chapter where he says in verse 1, "Therefore be imitators of God as beloved children, and walk in love as Christ loved us and gave himself up for us, a fragrant offering and sacrifice to God." And so at the beginning of the chapter, he goes through, says, all right, we're to imitate God, we're his children, we're to be loving as Christ has loved us. So we're to be self-sacrificial, giving up of ourselves for others. And then he goes off and lists off a bunch of different other practical things in the beginning portion of the chapter. And the second portion of the chapter, now we see specifically zeroing in on a husband and wife, a marriage relationship. And what we see is that the marriage relationship is meant to be a picture of the relationship between Christ and the church. And so wives are to be submissive to their husbands as the church submits to Christ. This is the order of creation. It's not a politically correct thing to say in these days, but this is how God designed marriage and how it works best. The wives are submitting to their husbands. And of course, the husbands are to love their wives as Christ loved the church. So this means that the husband needs to die to himself. A husband who rules the home based upon his own selfish desires is not imitating Christ. He's just ruled by his own passions, and then that ends up becoming it's not a healthy relationship then if the husband is just doing everything he wants and saying the wife needs to submit to all of his desires. That's not that's self-focused. And so he's got to be dying to himself to love and serve his wife, and in so doing, then the wife being submissive to her husband, honoring him, respecting him in decisions that he makes, and in the leading of the family. So that's part of the leadership of the husband is to come from a love for the Lord, and then a love for his wife, where he cherishes his wife as Christ cherishes the church. So that's going to involve love and compassion, tender care, a desire to listen and understand his wife. And so and this is all the way back from the beginning. He brings up Genesis in verse 31, "Therefore a man shall leave his father and mother and hold fast to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh." So again, this is the way that God has set up for the family to work, where a husband and wife, they have kids, their kids grow up under their authority and under their training and discipline, and then as they are adults, they then leave that home and they go and make their own home. And so it's a leaving of that authority. So now the mom and dad, who they've been should be honoring and obeying as godly children. That's the setup. Now they leave that. Now they still honor parents, but it's a different type of honoring. It's not necessarily in obedience, but it's a respectful honoring of them. And now they set up their own home with their own husband, their own wife, and have, Lord willing, have kids of their own, and the process repeats itself. And all of this it's a picture. It's referring to Christ and the church. And so we have a great opportunity with our marriages where we get to show and express to the world the love of God. So back again at the beginning of the chapter, we're to walk in love as Christ loved. And so our our relationship in marriage is to express that and show that. So when other people look at our relationships that we have, they should be seeing the love of Christ. They should be seeing the sacrificial love of a husband for his wife, and they should see a loving and respectful, submissive nature of the wife to the husband that represents the church. And so, again, this all comes down to being imitators of God, walking in love as Christ has loved us. So keep your eyes fixed on Christ, that we would imitate him in all of our relationships, whether that's just friendships, family relations, coworkers, whatever that looks like, and then also especially in a marriage relationship. So remember to keep a close watch on your life and doctrine.